All right, so I did record, and now I'm supposed to mute all. And then I guess me, Flo, I don't know, Bobby, and Nat would be unmuted. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Mute all current and new. Okay. You're all allowed to unmute yourselves. So Nat, Bobby, Flo, can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay. So I'm okay. I'm all right. Carolina scored. Okay. All right, we're all in. Hold on. Record. I got to do share screen. Flo, you on?
Yeah, I was going to keep myself muted because I'm watching also.
All right.
So I didn't want to annoy everybody.
We shouldn't be saying that. All right. So share screen. Oh. And all right. Does everybody see the screen?
Yes.
I do. Yep.
So we're in business. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with, this is open, no theme. This is group 1, intermediate, beginner, and there's only 4 on this one. So we'll have a first place. You ready?
Yep.
Again, this is just in or out. Power line to infinity.
7.
Nat, you can comment at this stage.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously HDR, but I think it's done very effectively. It's also a really simple composition. I might have changed my position so I would just have the foreground high tension wires and not that cluster that's in the background, but I don't know if it would be possible to do that. But I like the simplicity of it. I like the drama in the clouds and the repetition of the tower and the sagging lines going off into infinity.
Okay. Palm tree perspective.
I think it's an interesting perspective. First of all, I'd give it a 7. I think it's an interesting perspective looking up like this. It might have been even better had the person lay down on the ground and shoot up, because then you'd have a longer trunk. And it probably would have been a vertical picture at that point. But it's always an interesting perspective to try.
Someone's home.
I'd give this a 7. I think this is a nice shot. It is very simple, very clean. And I like the way there's a face within that unpainted area.
Okay.
At least I see it.
Okay.
Yep.
White peacock butterfly.
Again, a 7. Really simple design, great colors, and nice blurring of background.
Okay.
Would you like me? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so now I'm going to go through them, and you give it a 7, 8, or 9. And by the way, yep. I should also impress upon you that 8s and 9s make it into our best of year, so the scores are important. Okay.
Say that once more.
I'm going to go through them again. You give it a score of either 7, 8, or 9. 8s and 9s are important to us because they go into the best of year category at the end of the year.
Okay. So are you trying to keep the best in category?
No, I'm
smaller?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just meant that the score is important, even though it's a small number of photos. One of these will be picked as first place.
Okay.
Power line to infinity.
I like this a lot. This is 9 for me.
Palm tree perspective.
7. I think it's a good shot, but I'd like to see the other corrections that I mentioned made earlier, making them vertical and lying down on the ground.
Someone's home.
This would be an 8 for me. I think it's whimsical, and I like whimsy.
White peacock butterfly.
This would also be an 8 for me. It's, as I said before, simple and bright colors, but it just doesn't have the compositional power that the first image has of the high tension wires.
Okay. All right, we have one that received a 9. So that'll be our first place. Okay.
The 2 8s, in my mind, could be either second or third. I think they're both comparable.
Because there's only 4 with our local rules, we have 1 first place. In this particular case.
That's fine.
Review contest. Hold on. Let me get these guys out of the way. Review contest. Okay. Open group 1, first place. Powerline to Infinity, Walter Blitz. Nice job, Walter. Okay.
Yep.
Now, we're going to go to open group 2. There are 22 photos in this category. This is the advanced group. Open group 2. Red and pale blue.
7.
You can make comments on
this. I'm just really curious as to what it is, which is why it gets a 7. Curiosity is an important aspect in good pictures from my perspective.
Viney wall.
This is also interesting. It doesn't say as much to me. I'd give this a 6.
Shattered shutter.
Very clean composition, very solid light and shadow picture. This is a 7. Again, really clean.
Twin Rose Garden.
I'd give this a 7 also. I don't know if it's a flipped image. It looks like it could be, but it's still nice and symmetrical and very soft, emotionally soft, not photographically soft, although it is that too.
Okay. Iris Garden.
Again, nice composition, nice contrast in colors, nice work in the background, 7.
Fireman's Friends.
I'm not sure what to say about this. It's just a little bit too simplistic. I'm not sure, but I mean, this would be a 6 for me.
Okay. Egret and Reflection.
Nice composition, very evenly balanced. I like the lightness of it and the balance that's represented in the picture. This would be a 7.
Away.
Compared to the previous picture, It just doesn't have the same power to me. I mean, it's a nice photograph, but I don't think it has the strength of the other ones that I've already given a 7 to. So this would be a 6 for me.
Back view at sunset.
This is a 7. I really like the color that's in here and again, the emotional softness of the picture, as well as the photographic softness of it. I think the photographic softness adds to the emotional softness of it.
Oh, did I give that a 7?
You should have.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Obstructed view.
I'd like this a lot because it's it's all about light and shadow and shape. This is a 7 for me. I know it's some kind of a balcony, but I don't know what I'm looking through to or toward, which again adds that mystery for me. 7.
Wood lily.
This would be another 7. Again, emotionally and photographically soft. And I like the way the background is just unintelligible, if you will.
Okay. Rose paint splash.
Now I wonder if I'm going to get all of these kinds of pictures where a flower is sharp and then all of the background is softened. I have to be consistent and give this a 7 as well.
Armed robbery.
Intriguing. It looks like the ATM machine is actually on its side. I don't know how, if it were vertical and you just flip the photograph, the arm would stay there. So again, it's playing games with my mind. I'd give it a 7.
Gathering nest material.
This doesn't engage my imagination the same way. It's a very nice picture, but I would give this one a 6 because it doesn't have the emotional content. It's just more direct in what it's messaging.
Portrait of a plane mate. Portrait of a plane mate, yeah.
Oh, as in somebody on the plane with.
Yes,
okay.
I just realized I said it the other way, but yeah, portrait of a plane mate.
That's fine. If you were sitting next to me, the first thing I'd say is pull the damn mask up so it covers your nose. It's an interesting shot, but again, it doesn't have the mystery for me that I like, the questions that I would have. So just 6.
Sierra Madre.
I like the cropping on this and the shape of the photograph. And again, the mystery in the background and the more obvious foreground. This would be a 7.
Swirl Persian buttercup.
I guess there are going to be a lot of these. 7. Again, for the same reasons. The clarity in the center and the blur as you move out from that, the softness, emotional and photographic.
Thingamabobs.
You broke up a little bit on that.
Thingamabobs.
Okay. I know what those are.
Thingamabobs, right.
This would be a 7. Excuse me, I'm sorry, a 6. There is some curiosity for it, but it's also very direct. This is a 6.
Yep.
The previous one was a 7. Okay.
Right. Good. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, there's no mystery for me to this. Hang on just a little bit. Can you guys look? Yes, please. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay?
Yep.
Cherry blossoms by the basin.
Again, a nice picture. I like the composition of it, but I don't think it's as strong in terms of curiosity and pulling the reader into the picture. It's much more of a cliched type of picture. 6.
Weathered oars.
Again, I like this because I don't quite see them as oars, but I like the cropping, making it a long horizontal. And in that process, probably taking some visual cues out of the picture to increase the curiosity. 7.
Junkyard geometry.
I think what would make this a stronger picture if it were cropped from the top, so that it would be much more about the geometry of the other layers, rather than including the what looks like stain from rain, stain from rusting. It's still an interesting shot, so I'd give it a 7.
Flowers on a windowsill.
Again, it's a nice shot, but it doesn't have the same kind of curiosity for me. One of the things, whenever I hear a voice in my head that says, "Hey, take a picture of me," I tend to take lots of pictures of the same situation. One of the pictures I might have taken of this, and it might have been a stronger picture, is get down on the floor so that the shadow on top of the shelf or whatever it is that's up beside the windowsill is coming right toward the camera. And I'd make it a vertical picture with the shadow and the sun behind the flowers. This would be a 6.
Okay. We've got 14 sevens, so 7, 8, or 9.
And can I make a comment before we start?
Sure.
Obviously, from what I was saying, the pictures that are 6s are not consider. I don't consider them bad pictures. I just like something that really piques my interest and my curiosity.
Well, I mean, you're the judge.
Yeah, no, and I'm just explaining why I did it that way. I don't want anybody feeling badly that they got a 6. But let's move on.
Okay. Red and pale blue.
I'm going to give this a 9.
Shattered shutter.
This would also be a 9 for me because it's so clean. I mean, I know what it is. I gave a 9 to the first one because I can't really figure it out, which is really important and interesting for me. This is just a really clean composition about light and shadow. So did I give you a score on it?
You told me 9.
Yes, okay.
Okay, leave it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Twin Rose Garden.
Because there are many of this kind of picture, I'm going to give these an 8. Again, it doesn't mean they're bad pictures, but I know what they are too quickly. And the composition is still good. And I still like the softness.
Okay, so an 8?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go continue.
That's quite all right.
That's it? Okay.
Yep.
Iris Garden.
I'm going to give this a 7 because of the something of the mystery in it. It doesn't have as much mystery as the first one of the 2 roses had. So it's not quite as strong in that mystery or softness piece.
Okay.
But it's a 7.
Egret and reflection.
I give this an 8 because of the balance of this with the egret and his reflection on the wet sand.
Okay. Back view at sunset.
Give this a 9 because I really like the mystery, the color, and the layers of this photograph.
Obstructed view.
I really like this one again, so I'm going to give this a 9 because of its geometry, if you will, the square, the diagonal sunlight, the rectangle in the background, all of those geometric pieces of this.
Okay. Wood lily.
8. It does have that mystery and that softness.
I just want to make sure I gave the right score to the previous one. 9, okay.
9,
right.
Yes.
And this one's
an 8.
This
is going to be an 8, yes.
Okay. Rose paint splash.
Again, an 8. My sense is that somebody did a workshop on how to do this kind of picture, and everybody followed suit. I'd like to see a little bit more. I mean, obviously, nobody knows what everybody else is doing, but I wish people would practice a little bit more imagination on their own part.
Oops. Good.
That's quite all right. No, that's fine.
Armed robbery.
Again, this has got to be an ATM machine on its side, and I like the humor of the picture and the title. So I'd give this an 8.
Sierra Madre.
Again, I would give this an 8 because of the realism of it, but you're still combining the reality in the foreground and the softness and mystery in the background.
I'm sorry, Nat, the score?
8.
8, okay. Swirl Persian Buttercup.
I'm going to give this one a 9 because of the softness that comes into the flower as well. The other flowers are just really kind of cut out, and I like the composition of this one. I might have cropped it just a little bit more from the right and a little bit more from the top, so that the margin from the edge of the flower to the edge of the photograph is even on all 4 sides. That's my anal retentive nature.
Got a 9 on that, right?
Yes.
Weathered oars.
This is going to be another 9 because I can't really see that they're oars, and I like the shape of the photograph, and I like the mystery that's created by the cropping.
Junkyard Geometry.
I think it's a great title. I like the geometry that's going on here. I would have cropped it in just a little bit more, as I said before, so that it's more about just the geometry of the different shapes. And we don't have those metal doors or whatever they are at the very top.
I'm sorry, Nat, the score?
This would be I'd give this a 9.
9. And that's it. So you've got 7 9s. You have to pick a first, second, and third from these. Let me see. I think I forgot, how do I do this? I think it's B. There you go. All right, I'll go through them, but you can see the thumbnails on the bottom. I'll go through them.
You really don't have to go through them. This would be number 1 for me.
Red and pale?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Shattered shutter, back view at sunset, obstructed view, swirl Persian buttercup, weathered oars, and junkyard geometry.
I would give the third picture, that one.
This one?
Yep, that one. I'd give that second place.
Okay.
And I think the tough.
Shattered shutter, obstructed view, sweet Persian buttercup, weathered oars, junkyard geometry.
I think I would give the oars third place.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then the others get honorable mentions?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, open group 2, honorable mention, Shattered Shutter, Dan Sudberg. Nice one.
Nice shot.
Obstructed View, Dan Sudberg. Honorable mention. Again.
I like the way Dan thinks.
Swirl Persian Buttercup, Dave Cohen. Honorable mention. Junkyard Geometry, Bobby Greenfield. Honorable mention. Third place. Weathered Oars, Dan Sudberg. Second place. Back View at Sunset, Diana Karievsky. Nice job. And first place goes to Red and Pale Blue, Diana Karievsky. First and second. Nice going, Diana.
Diana,
I know everybody's on mute. It's very strange to say all this stuff with everybody in mute, but whatever.
Because normally they'd all be yelling and screaming?
Well, we tend to applaud, but
okay.
Those were the days. Yeah, thank you, Flo. Those were the days back in the clubhouse, I guess. Okay. All right, now we've got our theme category for class 1, intermediate beginner. The theme is abandoned, dilapidated buildings. Okay.
Yep. And how many photos?
We have
16?
We have 18.
18. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Score contest, first round, 6 or 7. Tumbling down.
I'm going to give this a 6 because the other stuff I've seen it looks like a lot of the people in your club have really good imaginations. And this doesn't have as much imagination as I would hope from what I've already seen. But,
sorry, another comment?
No, it's okay. My earbuds are starting to lose their power.
Okay. The Last Sunset.
Again, I like the HDR on this one. I'd give this a 7.
Electrical Boxes.
Just a little bit too much going on here. I'd give this a 6.
Needs Work.
7, because it's in closer and there's less visual cacophony going on.
Fixer Upper.
6, again, includes too much information.
I Wonder If the Ladder Still Works.
I'd give this a 6 also. I mean, it's a nice, soft HDR. but I don't think it has the mystery or the inquisitiveness or the imagination of the other shots.
Wemrock Farm.
Again, I think there's too much information here. I think it's much better if you can include something that makes it, if you come in closer and have less in the picture, but create more interest or more confusion.
I'm sorry, Nat.
I'm sorry. I didn't give you a number, right?
I don't believe so. If
Okay,
you did,
6.
I didn't get it. 6?
Yeah, no, 6, yeah.
Okay. Want a cup?
7. Again, nice and tight, and some confusion in what's going on.
Amazon housing.
Hang on, I'm going to have to change my looks.
Nat, I'm sorry, we can't hear you, and I can't see you right now. Nat? Nat, did we lose you? Nat, are you there? Nat? Wave at me if you can hear me, because I can't hear you. Nat, can you hear me? Can anybody else hear him?
No, I can't. We can't hear him at all. He can't hear us.
Nat, can you hear us? He's not reacting.
No. Is he frozen?
Can you hear
No.
me now?
Yes,
Here we
yes.
go.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Flo, you can hear me, right, Flo?
I can hear you. He just can't hear us.
He said his earbuds were going.
I don't know. Is he frozen now or just doing something?
Who had his telephone number?
Rich. Rich, could you?
Let me see if I can join by phone here.
We hear him.
We
now.
can hear you.
We hear you now.
If
Go
somebody
ahead.
calls and tell me we can hear him, it's a question.
Hear
He
you.
probably needs headphones if his earbuds went or something like that.
We hear you now. Yeah.
Can you unmute Rich?
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you put in the chat how I join by phone?
I don't know how to
Oh,
do
I
that.
see it here right now. Hang on.
Where's Rich? Hold on. If somebody calls you, I can't find Rich.
He's right there. Rich can hear us. Rich, unmute.
Oh, there he is. Unmute. Rich, unmute.
Yes, I can unmute. Okay.
Yeah,
I will send him the email with both links.
He's on. We can hear him. The problem is he
He
can't,
can't hear us.
He said his earbuds were going dead. So if you give him a call,
All right. I'll
You
do
know-
that. But why don't you try to get him to switch to the speaker on his laptop or desktop, whatever he's using.
That's what I figured we'd have to tell him. Either he's got to get headphones to plug in, if he's got something Bluetooth, or he's got to switch to I'm not familiar with how to do it. There's something on his laptop, but if you call him up, maybe that'll take care of it. And if you can walk him through it.
All right, I'll work on that now.
On the phone.
If I can get out of here.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great.
Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
us?
Great.
us?
I'm sorry about that. I can hear you.
Okay, Rich, we're okay.
Okay, bye.
All right. All right, so you can
I'm
hear
sorry
us?
about that.
All right.
Yes.
What happened? Your earbuds went dead?
Yeah.
All right. Now
And I
gotta-
tried a second pair and they didn't work either. So
All right. Now I got to figure out. I've got 567, so I got to go back and score the remaining ones. Okay. I
okay.
can't see anybody when I'm doing this. We were on Amazon Housing.
Okay. I'm going to give this a 6. Again, there's not much mystery with this one. And I really like to include that mystery by coming in closer so that people don't necessarily know what they're looking at and it becomes more graphic. 6.
Death throes.
Again, I give this a 6 because it doesn't tickle my imagination. Again, I'd come in closer and I'd work on getting foreground and background. In other words, 2 levels of depth in the photograph. So it would be the foreground exterior wall here and the interior wall that's right behind it on this particular wall that we're looking at.
Entrance to Mom's Diner.
Again, I'd like to see it closer. I'd like to have more mystery about this rather than just showing a dilapidated building. And this goes for the other ones that I've given a 6 to. Come in on a detail that, one, will show me that it is a diner, and it just has to be a small visual cue to that, and not just a dilapidated building.
Score? Nat,
Score would be a 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah, 6.
I mean, I assume that, but I want to hear you say, let's do
Totally
dinner.
understand.
Yep, let's do dinner.
This is a 7 because of just that. I mean, I know it's a diner. It's a dilapidated sign. I don't have to see the whole building, but it's got some nice contrast and some nice clouds. So this is a 7.
Please fix me up.
Again, I don't have to use my imagination at all because you're showing me too much. So this is a 6.
Wemrock Farm.
This is another 6. It is closer, but I need to have more curiosity. I would get in even closer, whether it's on the center window, which would be a little difficult to photograph, but then you'd have the empty window panes, if you will, and maybe some of the white cedar shakes on the right to the right of the window, which makes it a much smaller area and makes more imagination possible. 6.
Room without a view.
This is going to be a 7 because I don't see as much of the whole building. I still would have come in closer to get the brick wall and then some of the light area that's behind it. But I think this is a good beginning point to get the picture. 7. I'm sorry.
I got that. Needs replacement
Okay.
windows.
Again, I would come in close. This is pretty good. It's a start, but I would come in closer to that dilapidated window that's pretty much in the center of the picture. I'd also include the shutter to the left of it and the vine that's growing up on the shutter, but that's all I would have. I'd be looking through that window without a glass to see the green behind it. So I'd go from the right frame of that window to the left side of that shutter, and just include that. 6, did I say?
No, 6.
Yes.
I think this is supposed to be fresco painting.
Okay, I think the first picture was much better because it was in close. So this is going to be a 6.
The Shack, R.I.P., rest in peace.
What?
Okay. I mean, again, I would give this a 6 because it's showing me too much and it's not leaving my imagination free to roam around. I probably would have included the flag, the American flag, and whatever is above it, and the window on the right where the light is coming in from having no roof and it's much lighter. Gives more curiosity to what the picture is about. 6.
Okay, we have 5 7s. So you give it either a 7, 8, or a 9.
Okay.
This is group 1 again, abandoned,
Yep.
dilapidated buildings. The Last Sunset.
7. Again, I'm sorry. Let me just add a little bit to that. I give it a 7 because there's too much information in it and not enough space for curiosity and imagination.
Needs work.
This is an 8 because it's in closer and it does tickle my imagination a little bit more.
Want a cup?
I like this image. I'd give this a 9 because it's really simple and it has some interesting clues in it.
Let's do dinner.
This is a 9 for me because there's no visual cacophony here. There's just the simplicity of the sign and the 8 above it and the clouds behind it.
Room without a view.
This is a 7 because I think it is beginning to get to where it needs to be, but I think it needs to be shot from a closer perspective, possibly showing that chair, the brick wall, and then the light area that's behind it on the right.
Okay, that's it. We've got 2 9s and 1 8. So out of the 2 9s, you can pick a first and second place, and then the 8 will
Becomes third.
becomes third place automatically.
Okay. I just need to see the thumbnails.
Well, they can show you real quick.
Okay.
Want a cup and let's do dinner.
Hot coffee or want a cup is going to be number 2, and mom is going to be number 1.
This is number 1?
Yep.
And this is number 2. Okay. Okay. Okay, group 1, abandoned, dilapidated buildings. Third place, needs work, Flo Emmon. Good job, Flo. Second place, want a cup, Flo Emmon. Good eye. First place, let's do dinner, Flo Emmon.
I think I'd call that a sweep.
Where's Flo? I want to see her picture. Where are you, Flo? All right, very good.
Why did they take the goal away? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I thought so too. Flo, you just won first, second, and third.
I know. Thank you so much.
Come on. Be enthusiastic. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, lighten up a little bit.
Very good.
Class 2, abandoned dilapidated buildings. Here we go, score contest. There are 19 photos in this net.
Okay.
And
6 and 7.
6 and 7 first pass and your comments. Theme, abandoned dilapidated buildings. A former favorite, gone.
6, again, because there's too much information here. I want to be left with some mystery.
Old window.
6 again. Let me use my imagination a little bit more.
Mom's Diner art wall.
Can I ask you a question first?
Sure.
What happens if they're all going to be 6s?
I don't know. We've never come across that, but you do what you feel is right and we'll work it out later.
Okay, and you won't give my address out. Thank you.
No.
Okay, this is going
No,
to.
I mean,
this is going to be another.
You should be judging them the way you feel.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
I do think you should be consistent.
Excuse me, I do have a comment. I agree, of course, you should judge on what you think best, but the theme is abandoned and dilapidated buildings. And this is I get your point. And since you just gave me 1, 2, and 3, I feel strange saying it, but some of these that you're judging 6s, I mean, I don't know.
Flo, he's got to be consistent and do what he wants to do.
Well, that's true.
Now is not the time for this kind of comment.
Yes.
Right, right. And I think it's really important that you give your viewer a chance to use his own imagination with the pictures rather than being so obvious in the pictures. That's ultimately what I'm getting around to with all of the judging on this stuff.
Nah.
So
you can give them all 6s and don't worry about it. We'll just never hire you.
Okay. I mean,
right.
I don't know what all of the other pictures are going to look like. So
yeah,
this is going to be another 6. Yep.
All right.
This is another 6.
Mom's Diner art wall. Okay. House of Fungus.
I'll give this a 7. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Your comments.
No,
that's okay. This is interesting because there are different. It looks like there are different levels to the photograph, and certainly different shapes. So it becomes. I don't see the whole building, but I know it's a dilapidated building, and I know that there's something crawling all over the outside of it. So not having the whole building is a good differentiation. So this is the 7. That's why I gave it a 7.
Okay. Remains.
6.
Okay, that's it.
Yep. Yeah, again, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Mom's Diner, where the ghosts of the elite meet to eat.
I like the fact that this one has got some post-production on it, and it adds a lot more interest to me. Yes, it does show the whole building, but it's not the building as we would see it normally. So this gets a 7.
My office.
This is a little more difficult because it does show the whole building, but I really like those 4 geese up there. But I think I have to give it a 6.
Of last resort.
This is going to be a 7 because it's part of the building, and you're obviously playing with the caption on the photograph. Last resort to hold the building up. At least that's what my imagination says.
abandoned and cold.
6 again.
I'm
getting
sorry.
close.
Could people please mute except for Flo? All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nat. Abandoned and cold.
Diane.
Again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, a 6 because I need to use my imagination more on these pictures by getting in closer. It might have been just showing part of the door with the snow on the outside and showing the slats on the back side of the building, which would be dark, except for the light between them. But this, as it is a 6.
Dilapidated door.
7, because of the different shapes and the different geometry in the picture without showing the whole building.
Sorrow.
I'm going to give this a 7 because of the person in there and the title.
Helmeta Dowager.
I'd give this a 7 also. And I haven't seen any pictures of Helmeta in decades.
Once the home of Crown Limo.
This is going to be a 6. Again, because it shows me too much.
I guess it must be uninhabitable.
Oh, yeah, we've got an N in there. I'd give this a 7. I would also, in order to make it better, I would, again, move in closer and probably turn it more into a vertical picture. So you have the refuse in the foreground of the picture, and you have what's still standing in the background, and maybe one of the foreground studs or vertical bracing.
Okay. Front row seat available.
I'd give this a 7. Again, it doesn't show a lot. I would probably get in even closer so that I could work with the red of that interior door, the toilet bowl that's there, and then all of the dead plant life that's in that front foyer area and underneath the toilet bowl, underneath the commode.
7. Old barn.
There are so many shapes that could be worked with here that are not, because I'm seeing too much of the building. I'd give this a 6.
No one lives here.
Again, a 6. Because I see too much of it. You're not challenging me by giving me something to question or something to think about.
Fully air conditioned.
Good title, but again, a 6.
Hoy and ancient town.
Again, a 6. I need to be challenged more with these pictures.
And that's it. We have 8 7s, Nat. So 7, 8, or 9 on these. Abandoned, dilapidated buildings, group 2. House of fungus.
7.
Mom's Diner, where the ghosts of the elite meet to eat.
8.
Of last resort.
7.
dilapidated door.
9.
Sorrow.
8.
Helmetta Dowager.
8.
Uninhabitable.
7.
Front row seat available.
7.
Okay, we've got a first place and 1, 9, and if you could pick a
second and
third only, there'd be no honorable mention here.
Okay.
I'll go through them. Mom's Diner, where the ghosts elite meet to eat. Sorrow, Helmetta Dowager.
If the Sorrow picture, can I see a larger version of that?
I don't know what you mean. I can't do anything to expand it.
Okay. I think Sorrow is going to be number 2, and Mom's is going to be number 3, and Helmetta is going to be honorable mention.
Well, it's only 9, so Helmetta is out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Second place. And third. Okay.
Yep.
Review contest. Okay. Group 2, abandoned dilapidated buildings. Third place, Mom's Diner, where the ghosts of the elite meet to eat. Mario Edini. I don't hear the applause. What the hell?
Hey.
Thank you. Second place, Sorrow, Harvey Birnbaum. Nice going, Harvey.
Hey.
I'll give you applause. First place, dilapidated door, Diana Karioski. Very nice.
Cleaned up that tonight.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. And I guess, Bobby, you want to, hold on, what do I do now? I forgot.
Just unmute everybody.
I have to first stop share.
Right.
And everybody can unmute themselves, I think, right? I don't know how to unmute. Everybody, you can unmute yourselves, please. And then, Bobby, you want to take over and ask questions. Thank you, Matt.
Yes. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Mario.
Let's say one.
I continue to record or not?
No. Well, yes, I suppose you can continue.
Okay.
It's still part of the night.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say one thing. We take your point, and I think that observing and recording those details, I think you made a wonderful point there. But in defense of our members, I'm going to say 2 things. You made a comment about us having a workshop on softness. That's not the case at all. We didn't have any such workshop. It just happened that those people did on their own decide to enter those pictures. But for the rest of it, I do believe our members thought that they were doing the right thing by honoring the topic as a dilapidated building or an abandoned one in the whole. So I'm just going to say that I feel bad. I think a lot of people worked hard to present what they thought were interesting pictures. But that's all I have to say. And we do invite any member who would like to question Nat.
And I'm Walter on above.
Walter, we can sit up so
Walter, we can't see your face.
Yes,
Walter, you're not coming in clearly, Walter.
oh. If I get close, you can't see me. What's the difference?
That's good. You're good.
You're good now.
You were one of the few judges I have heard say a photograph has to spark the imagination and it has to spark the curiosity and take it away from the literal. And I think my colleagues responding to prior judges, I've heard them say, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't understand what I'm looking at. I stood on my head and I didn't know what I was looking at. And I think for many of us, for me, it was a rare treat. It really was. And I think for many others, it was a kick in the pants that they didn't consider. And I'm not trying to be negative to you, sir.
No, if I can respond to you, Walter, my background is as a photojournalist. And from my perspective, the power of a photograph is to grab somebody's attention and then pull it into the story. So a photograph is used to grab their attention and hold it and make them say, what the hell is this? And then they have to go into the story and read about it. And I also understand what you're saying, Bobby, about the literalness of the assignment. And I think it's an important aspect to take both the literal, which is much more objective, and add the curiosity, which is much more subjective, to make it a better photograph. In other words, photography is incredibly subjective. But if you're showing the whole of anything, then people know right away what it is, and they don't have to use their imaginations at all. And I think that's, I mean, I don't quite mean this. I don't know how else to say it, but it's sort of assuming that your audience is not particularly creative or imaginative. And I think it's really important to make the pictures more imaginative, to challenge the viewers and to create more curiosity in them. So that's what I think is really important, and something that's really special about photography. In a way, you can have people painting pictures that are very realistic, but that may not really interest the people, and it may not give them anything else to think about. One of the things that I think is so powerful about a photograph is that oftentimes, if it's a good photograph, you come back to it many times. You're looking at exactly the same thing, but you see something different each time you look at it, because your mind is impacted by so many other things that you've seen in the world between the first time and the second time you see the photograph. So I think the power of a photograph, a good photograph, is creating some curiosity and some ambiguity in the mind of the people who are looking at it. One of the things that I love is showing my photographs to people and hearing what they see in it, because they're going to see something very different than why I took the picture or what I see in the photograph. And that always adds so much more to my photographs for me when I hear what other people are seeing. So I'm not a literal kind of person, and that's what I love about photography, and that's why I like to move in on the details and the ambiguities of a picture, so that people have more of a chance to form their own idea of what it is, or what they think it is, or what they think it means. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Because I think that's the real power of photography, because it is so objective. I think it's really important to try to make it more, let me rephrase that, because people think that it is so objective. My job is to make it much more subjective, so that they don't necessarily know what they're looking at, but they know they need to look at it. And that's why I really kind of come in and focus on shapes and light and dark and things like that, so that the light and dark, the shadow and light, or the geometry in a picture or something like that catches their attention without their necessarily knowing what it is. So they need to try to get some additional information about it. So Walter, I really appreciate your comments because I think they're really important ones. I think photography is taken too much as being, you know, showing the world in its reality. And I think it's much more powerful when you don't show the reality of the world, but you leave the space for the viewer to come up with their own sense of what the world is in that picture. In other words, you're kind of giving them more space to make their own story up about it, rather than just telling a story which may be a very cliched story. And I totally understand where some people in the club would feel really confused about that. So maybe what I should do is add a little note to my biography saying that I want my mind stimulated. I don't want to see the same cliches over and over again, so that people work harder to use their own imagination to create more creativity or more personalized pictures. Does that make sense?
I think that we got too hooked on finding a site that shows decay, abandonment, and that was what we thought we needed to record. But you certainly make a good case for how you look at things, and I think and I totally understand the confusion that you people may feel because you're used to using it literally. And I'm suggesting it might be more fun and more interesting if you start to take that literal and bend it a little bit, do a little shape shifting on it and creating more confusion so that people can take what they want from the picture rather than necessarily just what they see. So you're adding, I think it's a matter of adding a little bit more emotion to it. Personal emotion, because we all are human beings and we all grew up in very different environments. We all grew up in a different birth order in our family. We all grew up in a different location. We all had a different family structure and different family dynamics. And that's what makes us all different from each other and makes it so fascinating to see the different ways we see the same thing. So one of the things that I love about my life is all of the different people, the total strangers that I've met over the years that I've been doing photography. Photography was always a tool for me to meet people and to meet all different kinds of people, black, white, yellow, green, orange, whatever color, I don't care. But we all are so different because of all of our own personal experiences that got us to this point in our life. And I love seeing the diversity of all the people. That's just the way I think and the way I work and what I love about the life that I've lived and why I have such gratitude for what I've been able to do for my life. I mean, I was doing something I loved and then I get paid for it. It's unbelievable. How can you ask for more than that? So, but I would be more than happy to talk to any of you with any of your questions, if you have any questions, or if you have any additional thoughts about this.
I have one thought.
Because it's about sharing. I mean, it's about sharing our different thoughts and how different we are with each other. Go ahead, Walter.
What do I say to the judge who goes the antithesis of you, what Nat Clymer says? What do you say?
That the other judges are the antithesis of me?
Judges judge us quite the opposite of the way you have tonight. And what do you say to that judge when we say, Clymer says?
Well, what you say is Clymer is different. You know, I don't know why, because we're all different from each other. And that's what makes us really wonderful in each of us in our own way, because we all are so different. And yes, you're going to have many judges who are much more literal than I am, but that's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think anybody should feel badly about their pictures. I think there were a lot of really good pictures in there. But I'm just using a little bit different kind of criteria that I think entails a little bit more imagination and creativity. As a photojournalist, I was a photojournalist for about 14 years. And then I opened up my own commercial photography business when I was working with corporations and institutions and universities. In the photojournalism days, the real challenge was going out and taking the same goddamn picture of somebody passing a check and figuring out a different way to do it so that you could grab somebody's attention and pull them into the photograph. Ideally, I'd get a chance to talk to the reporter before we went out and take the picture. And I'd talk to them about some other ways to get a picture to illustrate the story. Because from the photojournalism days, it was always about doing every picture differently so that you never repeated yourself. And that was a hell of a challenge when you got the same kinds of assignments over and over. And, you know, you can't do the same picture the same way. You've got to do it differently every time. And that challenge to make it different may be in planning for a different photograph, ideally, because you don't want to take the picture of the three guys who are passing the check to each other. You want to take a picture of what the check is going to help to do with the people. So if it's a check for a nonprofit that's trying to help people who are in poverty, you go out and take pictures of the people who are suffering from not having enough money, to show what the money is going to be used for and who is going to be using it and what their life is like. Because then you start to get the readers looking at a different kind of life than the one they see day in and day out, because they have a 9-to-5 job in the same place every day. And that's the important thing, to show the diversity of the people around all of us, and to open everybody's eyes to that diversity. They're still human beings. And that's a really important aspect to keep in mind as you're looking at people who have very different circumstances from what you and I may have.
I think you planted some seeds. I really think that for people to consider and to grow from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not a matter of these are good photographs or bad photographs. That's never the case, because each of us has our own qualities and our own things that we want to show. And just about all of the pictures were good, but I think there are ways each of you could make them better and challenge yourselves a little bit more. And I would love to come back and see how you do that. So, Walter, here I am trying to build up a future client here.
That, I think after your long explanation, this was definitely an exciting workshop learning experience. I think some of us probably were a little disappointed in some of the scores, but now that it's been explained, I think we all get the value of what you were trying to explain. At least that's my personal opinion.
And that's really important. So, and if others of you have different opinions, that's absolutely fine. But I think it's about opening ourselves up more, each of us individually, if we can, to different kinds of experiences and seeing things in different ways. I teach a photojournalism class at Rutgers, and I have such a difficult time with these college students to think outside the box, to see things in a way differently than they've always seen them. And that's because they just don't have the life experience yet to understand what's so wonderful about the diversity that we have right here in New Jersey. I mean, I tell them, I grew up outside of Boston, and I had an incredibly privileged life. And what I love about being in New Jersey is the incredible diversity here. The diversity in people, the diversity in environments, the diversity in topography. It's just amazing.
Food.
The diversity in the people and the cultures is one of the things that I really love. And, you know, you people have you may have all grown up here, and you may have become more used to the sameness of the difference, if that makes any sense. But even though I've been here over 50 years, it's still a really exciting place for me because I'm still meeting some wonderful, very different people from me and the people I grew up with.
Thank you.
Nat, I think your little suggestion that you popped up earlier of giving a warning or an explanation of what you're looking for could be helpful. And the reason I say that is every judge has their own likes, dislikes, interests, idiosyncrasies, and some of them are fanatic about nothing touching the edges. Others want everything sharp and in focus, and others want everything cropped. They all have their own interests. But when we go out, and I'm speaking for many of us because I believe that's the truth, we go out there and we concentrate on composition, on lighting, on focus, on interest, because we know making a picture interesting is one of the highest values. And a judge will tell us it's a very nice picture. It's technically perfect, but it's just boring. They say it a little more diplomatically, but that's what they like. But I have never gone out, and I don't think I can go out unless I know that Nat Clymer is judging our next competition, of when I'm framing a shot and looking at it and say, now, how am I going to make this thing mysterious or interesting to him? Because that's what he's going to be looking for. And
but in a way, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And just Rich. That it's incredibly difficult. If you looked at our shots the way one of the other judges might have, who looks for composition, looks for detail, looked for this, some of them would have been 9s and perfect, but in your mind, and which is fair, you didn't want those at all, and they were right out the window. So it's, for me, it's very frustrating. I don't know for others or not. And it's just a fact of life, but just, we have to have an idea of what we're doing when we're out there too. And you set a whole new direction for us now.
Right. And I don't, you know, it's really important to remember that I am different, and I have no problem. If you people want to pass on to other clubs that, hey, Nat was a curious judge, and this is the way he judges things, that's absolutely fine from my perspective. But you're kind of like the students that I have who are not interested in learning photography. They're only interested in getting the grade. And I find that really frustrating. And I think you should all, hang on, I think you all should be looking at what really intrigues you in the world. And if that doesn't, you know, you're the most important audience for your pictures. So do you see something different in your pictures that says something about who you are And that's the critical piece. You're doing the photography for yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the things that I talk about with my students is I go out, I don't do studio work. I don't do that at all because I would be bored out of my mind doing that. But I go out into the world and I wait to hear voices in my head that say, hey, come over here and photograph me. And then I have to kind of look around and say, who said that? And what I tell my students is that's the reason I go out and walk around in the world without that piece of aluminum foil over my head to keep all those voices out. I want to hear all those voices because I'm intrigued by the things that are different and the things that call me. And that's what I love about photography because it's something different every time I go out. And that's what keeps me at this ripe old age going out and continuing to shoot because I'm listening for those voices that I haven't heard before. And I think that may be even more of a challenge to you than shooting to the judging that you may be getting. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong, but I think there can be so much more enjoyment if you take the pictures for yourself so that you're really pleased with it. And maybe, you know, I've been doing this. I mean, I started in photography at the age of 9, so I've been doing it for 60 some odd years. And I get bored really quickly, and I really like being weird out in the world. But that's just who I am. And, you know, people can say, oh, well, he's weird and, you know, he's off in his own corner. That's fine. And you may have the kind of life where you need to do the same kind of thing more often. But I find one of the things that I love about my life is that I'm doing something different every day. And that's totally a personal decision. You may like to have the structure of doing the same thing, which is perfectly fine. That's just not who I am. And I think there are people who get a little bit too caught up in the minutia of life when they should be looking for more curiosity and other things. And I'm not saying anybody is right or wrong. I'm not saying that at all. Whatever you feel is important to you is important. But, you know, then maybe you need to have more judges who see the things the same way. And all I'm interested in doing is getting people to open their minds more and expanding their minds. You know, and in a sense, I'm still the old hippie that I used to be. You know, and I'm always trying to see things differently. And that's just the way I look at life. I could never do a 9-to-5 corporate job. I cannot do that. I would be fired within 2 weeks. But that's just who I am. Mm-hmm. So I'm weird. And that's, you know, and other people are not as weird.
I don't think anybody was photographing for a grade. I think everybody was photographing for interest and learning. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe you missed that point.
It could be.
And saying that, you know, we're just photographing. I'm very new to this, and I'm looking to learn, and I'm sure other people are, and you learn from each other. And, you know, when you say that you feel as if that you're in front of your students, I find that very demeaning. I find it demeaning.
I did not.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if you took it that way, Diane. Yeah, and I did not mean to say it with that kind of a tone.
Because I am a retired teacher, and I would never have said that. I would never have said that.
I'm sorry if you took it that way. I apologize to you.
I thought it was demeaning.
I apologize.
I don't know if anybody else felt that way.
Well, I think to wrap things up, and if there are other comments, of course, you know, by all means, let's hear them. But I think you've opened, broadened our horizons and reminded us of what photography is all about, and maybe renew our joy in finding the kinds of things and the kind of work that mean a lot to each of us personally, rather than taking a photograph because I'm going to get an 8 or a 9 or whatever it might be. So I understand where Diane is coming from, because she is very new to the club, and so she doesn't necessarily have all the foundation at this time. But we see her as a real up-and-comer, and I just want to say that. So are there other members who would like to say anything?
I'd like to say something. Of course, thank you very much for the good grades. I felt like I was in psychoanalysis with you. Yeah.
Not my intention.
No, but the way you're approaching looking at the photograph, or it's very, it's the wrong word, I don't mean cerebral, but it's meaningful. It's looking for meaning. And I appreciate you pointing that out. I also think we should all take some Quaaludes.
Or at least have a large glass of wine.
I think
his own.
I finished
and
mine.
Diane, I really do apologize if I came across as demeaning. I did not mean that at all.
And when you said that,
I apologize for that.
Graphing for a grade, you know, I don't see that. I don't see that at all.
Well,
where everyone's trying to photograph for creativity.
I think,
and we certainly could be more creative. That I certainly agree.
And it takes a long time to understand the rules of photography, like you know, gymnastics or anything else, before you can break the rules. And because of all my years of doing this, I'm breaking the rules all the time. And you need to build up a stronger foundation. I totally understand that. To do things the correct way, and then to start to bend the rules a little bit and do it so that it appeases you more. But you have to know all of the foundational stuff.
Of course.
And that's certainly what you do when you're beginning. So, Harvey, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think Claude should have another workshop, Claude, that everybody will go out and do a photo shoot, photo walk, with the idea, whatever they shoot has to be so mysterious, no one else in the club can figure out
what it is.
But we've had other people say, I don't know what it is, so I can't understand it. You know, it was too abstract for them.
And that would have been a 9.
Some of the
no, it was too abstract. They didn't like it.
You would have gotten a 6.
Right.
Yep.
Where they
you already know. You already know how I'm going to judge it, so.
And then we call you back.
For what it's worth.
Then we call you back, and everybody gets a 9.
Right.
Thank you so much.
At the same time, you're doing something different. Make sure that you're doing it differently for yourself. Because that's the really important thing. Does this really interest me, and does it intrigue me? And that's the way I shoot. I mean, am I going to want to keep looking at this picture? And if so, why? If it's people, which I specialize in, then I want to see the emotion that I'm able to pull out of the people when I'm photographing. If it's a still life thing, which I don't tend to do a lot, I've got to make it so weird that nobody knows what the hell it is. I have a picture of 7 or 8 plastic beach pails. They're kind of reds and oranges and yellows. And I came in really close on them, so you just see the edge, one edge of each pail. And then there's some diagonal lines in it, which are the handles that are hanging over this stack of beach pails. And I would ask people what it is. And I'd tell them that it's man-made, It's oriented the same way I took the picture. I didn't turn the photograph in any way. And that it's something you see every day and nobody would know what it is. And I loved the fact that nobody knew what it was because it was so different for them. And yet it's just a stack of beach pails. So I liked playing with people's minds that way and playing with my own mind, even though I'm not doing the drugs that I used to do.
Well, Harvey,
so
you made an excellent suggestion, and I think that we will, when we put together our next group of topics, I think that may very well be one that we might want to consider. And
which is what?
Yeah. I do think that you've given a lot of us something to really think about, and we thank you for that.
Because I've been able to be weird all of my life as an artist and as a photographer, I really enjoy sort of asking you to stretch your minds a little bit outside of the, you know, the sort of structure that you've been living in, and maybe embrace something totally different that gives you more fun and more pleasure and more joy. But you know, it may not give you any joy, then don't do it, and do what you want to do. The most important part of photography is that you're really happy with it and you're intrigued by it and you're having fun with it. That's the most important thing. So I'm not going to preach anymore. I just hope you go out and continue to have fun with your photography, because it's just a wonderful medium to see the world through, because you're the one who's determining every time you take a picture what's going to be in the frame and what's going to be out of the frame. So have fun and enjoy it.
Okay.
Whatever it may be.
Thank you. Appreciate all your comments.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for having me come in.
I'm back.
And maybe I'll see you sometime in the future.
Care of, some of the details, okay?
Absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night, all.
Good
Good
night.
night, all.
Good night.
Night, Diane.